Pyro. We've heard about the system for years and had only snippets of lore to imagine it before it came to the verse. The infamous system Cloud Imperium has marketed as the lawless frontier. It's the wild west of the verse and a place where there are no rules, no safety net, and no protection. A system that will chew you up and spit you out if you came in unprepared. And players, including myself, have accepted that idea. We bought into it. Pyro is supposed to be dangerous, unpredictable, and hostile. But is it really? In this video, we're going to take a look at Pyro with a critical eye and ask, does it live up to its reputation? We'll talk about everything from atmosphere to gameplay, from the promises of a lawless frontier to the reality of how it actually feels to play there today. And more importantly, we'll dig into what needs to change for Pyro to truly stand apart from Stanton, not just as another star system hidden behind a jump gate, but as a completely different experience in Star Citizen. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Captain Katarn. I cover Star Citizen without the drama, the clickbait, or the performative outrage that dominates YouTube. If you're tired of that noise, hit subscribe and join the crew. There's a common trope in storytelling called informed attractiveness. Take the character Vash, the archaeologist that bends the rules, who was Captain Picard's romantic interest from Star Trek The Next Generation, and later on she seduced every male character in Deep Space Nine. The actress was certainly pretty, but the other characters in the show constantly talked about how beautiful she was. Whether or not the viewer finds the character to be attractive, we must accept that within this fictional world, they are. The same concept applies to Pyro. We've been told how hostile it is and how Pyro is a dangerous location, where even the star is trying to kill you with microbursts that hopefully one day make it to the verse. It's a place that the UEE doesn't patrol and gangs rule over the land. Jax McCleary went on a cinematic adventure and needed rescuing in 2022's IAE story arc, which was epic, no doubt. I bought into it myself. Pyro was scary. When 4.0 dropped, I was weary of going into Pyro because when I play, I like to enjoy the game without dealing with the kind of griefing that can happen in lawless areas of a game. It takes 15 to 20 minutes to load your ship and fly from a Stanton home port, then go through the jump gate, then get to a location somewhere in Pyro. Getting blown up is annoying and a giant waste of time, literally. But here's the problem. Right now in Star Citizen, there's no real distinction between Pyro and Stanton outside of aesthetics. You're not feeling that shift in gameplay. In theory, Stanton is supposed to be corporate space, policed, civilized, and stable, while Pyro is the exact opposite. That should mean radically different experiences when you play in either system. But in practice, they both function the same. And here's the point. If you strip away the planets, the biomes, and the skyboxes, you'll notice that the gameplay loop doesn't actually change when you cross that invisible line. The NPCs act the same. Security forces are absent in Pyro, but they're also completely absent in Stanton. You're still flying missions, still running cargo, still trading, still shooting at the same AI that spawns in regardless of whether you're in supposedly civilized space or the lawless frontier. I talked about it in my You're Not a Pirate video that the lack of consequence is what really breaks it. In Stanton, crime is supposed to matter. You're meant to feel the weight of security patrols breathing down your neck if you cross the line. But the truth is, you can commit crimes in Stanton with very little pushback. Kill a traitor, blow up a ship, maybe you'll see a few bounty hunters or get a meaningless crime stat, but it's nothing like the crackdown you'd expect in a system run by 4 megacorporations. And in Pyro, the fear of constant threat should hang over everything you do. Outlaws should dominate. Every landing zone should feel like rolling the dice on whether you're going to walk away. But that's not what happens. Right now, you can operate in Pyro with very little fear. That's the problem. Both systems feel exactly the same because neither feels like what they're supposed to be. Stanton doesn't feel safe, and Pyro doesn't feel deadly. Without consequences, the distinction collapses. And that sucks. Visually, CIG has nailed the Pyro system. The landing stations look incredibly detailed and crawling with filth. I am visually disgusted by what I see there, which is the best compliment that I can give to the level design teams. Feels like a slum, and I hate being in those stations. My spacesuit isn't a thick enough barrier for my tastes. This is the opposite of informed attractiveness. The visuals sell the story that there's no rules here, no compassion, and these people would murder you for your boots. This is where the vision and the implementation are out of sync. CIG told us that Pyro will be a different beast. A much larger system where fuel will matter, that getting stranded without enough quantum fuel would be a death sentence. Then they changed plans because players with starter ships were very limited in their jump ranges in the initial PTU testing. Despite ships being available in-game for reasonable prices, they destroyed an entire gameplay loop, player-driven deep space ship fueling to make sure that everyone would have access to the system. It was a major letdown in the first part of Pyro losing its edge. They've discussed supply chains that determine whether stations even have fuel to sell you in the first place. And they've promised outlaw gangs, territory control, and systems that make you feel hunted. That's the pitch, but until those mechanics are actually there, Pyro is just a reskin of Stanton. A change of scenery with no real difference in risk, mechanics, or impact on how you play the game. Now imagine if the vision actually matched reality. Picture Stanton as the clean corporate machine it's supposed to be. Secure lanes patrolled by police, crime and punishment systems that actually punish. If you want to play as a pirate in Stanton, it should feel like running a heist under the nose of an empire that will bury you if you're caught. And then you make the jump to Pyro. No patrols, no authority. The only law is survival. Every station you dock at is controlled by a gang, and their mood changes depending on your reputation. Maybe they sell you fuel if you're in good standing, maybe they rob you blind if you're not. Suddenly, the simple act of traveling from Stanton to Pyro has meaning. You've gone from safety to chaos. That's the contrast players were promised, and that's the contrast the game desperately needs. It's not just about danger either. It's about shaping how players choose to live in the verse. If Pyro actually worked the way it's been described, it would force people to prepare. Traders would need escorts, miners would need safe routes, groups would form around defending territory because losing access to a fuel supply means losing your livelihood. Gameplay loops would collide in meaningful ways. Pyro would be a system that defines how you play. And here's the kicker. Players want this. We've been ready for it for years. People want to feel like Stanton is the safe haven where commerce thrives, and Pyro is the nightmare where survival is all that matters. That contrast is the entire point. Without it, Pyro loses the identity it's been marketed on for years. Right now, too much of Star Citizen's risk-reward system exists in theory. Yes, there are crime stats, and yes, Pyro looks darker and more dangerous, but until those elements are tied to real consequences, they're just background noise. They won't affect how you think or how you plan or how you play. And that's the gap Cloud Imperium has to close if they want Pyro to be more than a marketing slogan. Pyro is not going to deliver on its promise until then. It'll be beautiful in towns like Chala's Beach, it'll be atmospheric, but it won't be meaningful. And that's the real danger if they lose their identity. Then the verse loses its soul. So if you're like me and have been avoiding Pyro, maybe don't. You're just as likely to be killed in Stanton, so get out there and have some fun. But what do you think? Am I wrong about consequences in Star Citizen? Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far, you're already part of the crew. So let's make it official. Subscribe and join us. If you want to go further to support the channel, check out my Patreon, use the join button, or even grab something through the Impound with my referral. I'm not sponsored by CIG, I'm sponsored by you. Your support is what lets me keep flying. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.